Is this how you find out that your channel's been taken down?
Oh, Wednesday evening live chat. I just saw it. Come on, right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's one.
It's
All
saying
right.
that you got 2 live streams going now. Oh, come on. Yeah, no, I saw it. So it's there.
Can we terminate one of them? We gotta terminate the first one, maybe?
I don't know how.
I was saying, yeah, I'm back. Hey, Debbie. And Coastal. Nova Scotia's in the house. Nova Scotia, doesn't it sound coastal? It sounds like waves just crashing against the rocks, you know? Nova Scotia. And ships breaking up against the rocks, too. And Avery Leslie, that's a new one. How you doing, Avery? Welcome. How's the knee doing? Yeah, well, I tell you what, I got probably 20 pounds that I'm carrying around that I probably shouldn't. And I'm probably 20 years older than I probably want to be. You know, I liked being 40. That was nice. And so stepping off of a ladder onto the icy driveway yesterday, I twisted my knee and it made this like noise, pop, and down I went. It was pretty bad. Made a lot of groaning noises, stuff like that. And I thought I hurt myself. I really did. I mean, I know it hurt me, but I thought I did some damage. I thought I blew some tendons out or something. I don't know. It's just, I never had that experience before. It was very, very different. But I don't know. I got around today. I didn't really do very much work to a guy that mentors him on his 3D printer. And so I just did a drive. And it was actually kind of nice, but I really couldn't be out walking around on my leg because it's just, it hurts and I need to just get it rested. So anyway, I don't think anything's broken. I kind of figured that I'd keep going on it today, and if I couldn't get back on it in a day or so, then I would have to get looked at, I suppose. But it'll grow back, right? It'll grow back, I'm sure. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
So what I was talking about, we took care of you here at home and you were fine.
Yeah.
We didn't need to go to the
Yeah.
ER and get it checked because...
If I went to the ER, it would just be a long, drawn-out process, and they'd probably want to put a swab up my...
See if that helps. It's been good. Ooh. No, it looks like I have you back on.
Okay, it's back. It's being a little froggy tonight. We'll see how she goes. But the first time we got cut off, it went back to the first screen that you see on your phone with all those little icons. And that's never a good sign when it does that. But I think we're going to do okay now. Let's see. Got a good group of people. Somebody reminded to give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms. That would be very helpful.
Algorithm.
The inventor of the internet. So for me, today was just kind of a rest day. I just took it easy, and I'm kind of hobbling around a little bit. I made some interesting observations when I went out walking around this morning. There's certain places in the yard where I would step, and it would hurt, and I would kind of buckle under, and my face would get all hurt and everything. And then I'd circle around, I'd walk across that same spot again, and the same thing would happen. So I stayed away from that spot. So I'm a little stiff right now. If I get up, it takes a minute before I can get mobile and go in a line. But I'm sure I'll be okay tomorrow or the next day or something like that. But it's not anything where I'm going to have to get peeled open and stitched back together on the inside. And that's what I thought, because the noise that it made and the feeling that it gave me was scary sounding, actually scary sounding. So anyway, Wednesday night is our question and answer. This is where we began with this whole thing. And you may know or you may not know, we have a lot of new people coming in. The name of our teaching, radio thing that we do here, I call this the radio show. I fancy myself as Rush Limbaugh. We call it comes under the heading of anyone can farm, right? Anyone can farm. And our farm name is Baker's Green Acres, and that was started as a joke a long time ago on our first farm that was just a really tiny little place. And we weren't farmers, we were just living on a farm. And the more we lived there, the more interested we got in it. And started with the gateway animal, the chicken, and went from there. And before you knew it, we were slaughtering beef on that place. So we kind of moved right along in quick succession. But the name of our farm here is Baker's Green Acres, and the program is called Anyone Can Farm. Anyone Can Farm was born out of two things, actually. We get a lot of phone calls to the farm because we have our Baker's Green Acres website, and bakersgreenacres.com, and Jill does a blog in there. I don't know if you've done it recently.
No, but it's there. There's a
The
lot
blogs
to read.
are there, and a lot of pictures. We like to put pictures up of the main thing that goes here is we raise our children here. That's the reason for this this is where we raise our kids. 4 of them are gone. Another one's leaving soon, so we're going to be down to 3. So we're kind of shifting some of our energy towards teaching and consulting. So that's going to come under the Anyone Can Farm banner as well. But Anyone Can Farm was born out of people calling here and needing help and needing advice and stuff. And so we decided to set aside an hour on Wednesday night to just be able to answer questions. And that way, whoever answers the phone could just defer people to Wednesday night. And, we could knock them all out in 1 hour. But there was a lot more questions than an hour would do. So we went to another day, and now we're at 5 days. And some of the days I will pick a subject and just go with it, and some of the days like Wednesday we pretty much leave it open for Q&A. We've had people on to interview, and like doing anything like that, wherever it goes, we'll ride it there. And the other reason that we named it Anyone Can Farm is there was a time when there were entities from this state, the state of Michigan, believe that, did not want us to raise our pigs. We raise Mangalitsa pigs, and they said, oh no, you can't, because they could become feral. And we wound up in a massive court case. If you want to read about it, just Google my name in Michigan and you'll see all the stories. But the long and short of it was the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Natural Resources were doing the bidding, in my opinion, let me just say in my opinion, of the pork producers who did not want small producers. They did not want them because it's cutting into their action. They wanted all pigs to be raised under roof. And in a court proceeding, the number 2 guy from Michigan Department of Agriculture, you're shaking the table here pretty bad, said in a court proceeding, he said that, we really need to leave farming to the experts, right? And of course, they always pack the courtroom with a bunch of suits and guns, and all the suits and guns were like, yes, that sounds very astute. Yeah, only people who have gone to college could farm, And then the only way to farm, they say, was to do it safely in comfortable climate-controlled barns, because then it keeps the animals in. They can't get away and become feral, and if they become feral, they kill baby deer and little ducklings, and they're just terrible animals, right? So that was their argument, is that unless you're a professional, leave the farming to us, right? And so to kind of tuck it back to them, we have taken the approach that was portrayed in the movie Ratatouille, where there was similar entities. There was this chef who had passed away, and he was a great big roly-poly guy, and he said, no, anyone can cook. And then there was this little shyster that took over his restaurant, and he was trying to corner that restaurant, that only we can cook, only the professionals can cook. And the way the movie pans out is there's a guy that's a dishwasher, and then there's a rat, and the rat's on top of the dishwasher's head under his hat, and he's pulling his hair, and the dishwasher's cooking all these great things, and he winds up being a great chef. And it's not just one guy, it's a dishwasher and a rat. And the dead chef said, you know, his attitude came through. Anyone can cook, right? And I say the same thing. Anyone can farm. And so when we define farming, it's sort of like defining cooking. Can you boil an egg? That's cooking, right? Can you make a souffle? Can you make ratatouille? That's cooking too, but it's a little advanced. But you don't start off making ratatouille. You start off making boiled eggs. So same thing with farming. You don't start off by raising, you know, the best pig ever known to mankind that trotted right off of Noah's Ark, the Mangalitsa. You don't start off there. That's only for us advanced people. You start off with some chickens, and you start off with, you know, some ducks and maybe, I don't know, maybe some goats. Yeah, you start off with some goats and a vegetable garden and stuff, and then you progress. And I'm just kidding about the Mangalitsa. It all flows together, right? There's not any one part of it that's complex, you know, and that's part of the problem with our world today. Is there's people who like to not be perfectly honest and tell you that this is doable. You can do this, right? It's a series of steps. So a lot of times what experts do, which I guess I am an expert, a guy called me today and he said, I was told that you're an expert on Mangalitsa. And I said, well, that's actually true. I am an expert. And he what he had been told by a lot of the self-proclaimed experts out there, not like me, who my wife says I'm an expert, they try to make it seem complex. And that way they maintain their expert status. Well, I know how to do this, but you guys don't. And I don't like that. I've never have liked that, you know. Let's share the information, and then let's go on to the next thing. I don't want to have the only thing on my plate, Mangalitsa pigs. You know, it sort of reminds me in the movie Forrest Gump, the guy Bubba. He says, I know everything there is to know about shrimping. And then he goes on and he tells Forrest about it, you know. But that's all he knew, was shrimping. I would just as soon pass on everything that I know about this, homesteading, as quickly as I can, and then I'm going to go on to the next thing, because there's a lot of things in my list, my bucket list, that I want to get done, you know, while I still can. So we started this up, and it's developed into this, right? And anyone can farm. You can see where there's going to be other things that develop out of that. We do the Homestead hog harvest classes. This year was our 10th year. So it's not like we just started this up. This has been going on for a while. And this year, let's see, we put somewhere in the neighborhood, we did 3 classes of 12. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 36 people through our Anyone Can Farm Homestead Hog Harvest class. And that's a 3-day class. We start with live pigs, and we're working together for 3 days. And we really get to know the process and really get to know each other. And it's the high point of my year. It really is. We've just the spirit of people that come. You know, the people I was talking about last night, they show up And I don't feel as though I have to do everything perfectly. I've made some real bloopers in the course of the class, and these are good people, and they're kind of like, well, and I'll play it off like, yeah, I did that on purpose, so as you guys can see that even an expert like me can make mistakes. No, life's full of mistakes. Anybody that comes off and saying they don't make mistakes is just not doing the thing, because it's part of it. We learn lots from making mistakes, and so we do that teaching, and that's pretty good, and I believe we'll expand that. We do a little bit of consulting, which is building, and it's building more and more, and I'm liking that, because when you have somebody that comes to you and has the what would you call it? They have the vision. They have the vision, and they've matched up the vision with who they are and what they have accomplished already in their life. And then I tell them, oh yes, you can do this. It's just a series of steps. And consulting is all about hiring somebody to give you a list of steps or help you to formulate a list of steps, and to put those steps in a sequence that's going to work the best for you. And it's somebody that's done it, and I don't mean just done the farming homestead thing like we have, but somebody who has actually coached others through it is a good thing to do, because you may think, oh, gee, consulting, that guy charges a lot of money for consulting. But yeah, if you can avoid mistakes that are far more costly than, somebody saying to you, oh, no, don't build your barn there. That would be a bad idea unless you want to play with, rowboats in there. You can really avoid a lot of downtime with good consulting. So I'll just say that. I'm kind of plugging but I could see at some point where I would do a lot more of that. And I've even thought ahead, and I want to, our vehicle has like 250,000 miles on it. And I've thought ahead, and I'd like to have something that's less miles and more open country, making an 8-hour drive and kicking the dust off of my work boots, ready to go to work. Because I believe I'm going to be doing more traveling like that. I have one coming up here pretty soon that's good 7 hours away. So yeah, I'm working in that direction, or I'm willing to go in that direction if the doors open up for it. I'll put it that way. If that's not what I'm supposed to do, then I will just keep doing what I'm doing, because I like what I'm doing. I actually love what I'm doing. So if we did get together here, all of you, and we were sitting around the kitchen table, we would be most likely talking about farm things and farm life. Our primary here is raising our kids and having a decent place for us to live too. We've learned a lot about what is valuable and what isn't valuable. A lot of, like what Joe was saying about what gets thrown at us is the way to go. I'm not anymore really wanting to say this industry is bad and we need to change this industry. I don't want to do that. I mean, that's just, I'm throwing stones at somebody that I'm going to make angry. Let them do that, but we want to play on our own field because we think we can do it better. And so we're in the food business, and we kind of dabble a little bit in teaching, teaching our children. So instead of putting them in an institution that has ways that we don't appreciate that much, we don't say, well, tear that place down. We just say, now we'll handle it. We'll do our own. Nothing wrong with that. We just want to do our own. We can go to the store, the IGA or whatever. We can buy food from there, and we do. Not very much, but if we go to it's a good store in Cadillac, they have great fruit. Fruit's kind of hard to come by sometimes around here in the north. So we'll buy the fruit. Hey, I'm not saying tear the place down. I'm just saying I prefer to raise my own meat. I prefer to raise as many of my own vegetables as I can. I prefer that, and I enjoy doing it. It fulfills a void in me that I think was put there to ensure my survival, that I would like making a living for myself. So, you don't want to hear me blab. I'm in 21 minutes. I am here to answer your questions. We graze cattle, both beef cattle and dairy cattle. I'm a homestead herd, so a lot of what I'm doing is unorthodox. You know, some of my neighbors who are big time dairymen, they see I've got beef cattle and dairy cattle together. It's like, what are you doing over there? But there's a method to my madness. You know, my dairy girls are older, so they lead the herd around. They all get along. The beef cows don't know they're not dairy cows. So why point it out to them? You know, why separate them? It's not fair. We do pasture poultry in the summertime. I think last year, well, I don't know how many we did exactly last year. 5,000?
No, almost 1,000.
Almost 1,000. Okay. In years past, we've done
Yeah.
lots and lots of pasture poultry. I don't know why I said 5,000. No, it was 1,500 when I asked you last time.
Oh.
Yeah, it was 1,500. We raise a lot of pigs, Mangalitsa pigs, and Mangalitsa crosses. We have a butcher shop on the farm, so like right now I'm busy butchering beef, which is, that's how I hurt my knee yesterday. I stepped down off a ladder and stepped on the ice in the driveway and slipped, right? We butcher a lot of pigs. We butcher all the chickens. We have a chicken butchering business, so people from outside the farm bring chickens to us and we butcher them. We do rabbits and geese and all kinds of stuff like that. There's not a whole lot that we won't do. I don't think there is anything we won't do.
You even did a llama.
We've done llamas, yeah. A guy asked me if I'd do a horse.
I don't think we did that.
We didn't do it, and that's a long story. We have a big vegetable garden. We cut about 50 acres of hay and put that up for the animals. We have brood sows here, so the pigs are, you know, they're regenerative. We grow a lot of crops for the pigs, so just a lot of forage crops. Cut a lot of firewood. We're carpenters, we're metal workers, we're welders, we do a lot of our own veterinary work, most of our own veterinary work. Anything else? We sew, we play music. What else do we do? We make a lot of charcuterie, we make sausages, we render lard, lots and lots of that, render a lot of tallow. We grow pretty much all of our own food, pretty much. And we build a lot of stuff, and we're really into it, all right? And we homeschool our kids, okay? So that's what we're doing, and it started out as we had chickens. That's where it all started. We got some laying chickens, and it went from there. Before you knew it, we were, you know. And I'm a big advocate of on-farm butchering, on-farm processing. We've navigated those waters with, you know, the regulatory agencies and stuff and figured out what's the best way to go for us. I see discussions about that all the time, and it's usually people have an idea of the way they think it works, and they put it out there as the way it works, and a lot of times they're wrong. But we've navigated those and done okay on that, so I can help with that. We cut hair. My wife cuts my hair. Yes, we do a lot of things for ourselves. I am a midwife, not certified by anybody, but I have delivered babies, lots of them, both human and animal babies. Um, that's a good story. So let's see. So I'm here. This is Stump the Dummy. You can ask me anything you want. Jonathan Pierce, chickens are farm crack. Yeah, it's the gateway animal. Gateway animal. You know, when we first got chickens, we would sit out there and we'd watch them. And I suppose we named them, you know, and this one did this and this one did that. And the kids were really into it. And now, like, I don't even know how many are out there. I don't pay that much attention to them. I love the egg, watch them. And I remember back what it was like when we first started doing this. When we first started doing the homestead, I had a full-time job. Jill had a full-time job. And we had kids and we were doing daycare. And then we started to see that, I don't think it's worth it, you know. And so Jill's been home ever since, and I am so glad that she is, because she does a wonderful job around here. Expert cook, bottle washer, stitcher of wounds, fixer of strained knees, shoulder to cry on, and lots of other things. Did I miss anything? Accountant. So here I am. I will answer your questions, and as I stated before, I am an expert. Yes, I am. I'm an expert, according to this man that called me on the phone today. So, hit me.
All right. Coastal gardening. My dad keeps reminding me I need to separate my pigs before they farrow, or they will eat the piglets. Do I need to separate before farrowing?
Well, I don't like to contradict your dad. I'll just tell you what I do. I keep my boar in with the group of sows, like 10 sows max. You can go 15, you know, he can handle it. Especially if they're staggered a little bit and he's not, you know, they're not all coming in the same day. And that boar stays with that group. And if I need a boar for another group, I can take him out and put him in with a different group of gals. But I generally just leave him in there. What that does to the boar, it makes him really mellow. I mean, he doesn't have a care in the world. He just wants food, and then he's got all those gals that he can mate, and that's all he wants out of life. So you hear stories about mean boars. We had a boar who got aggressive with Jill once, but it had nothing to do with him being mad at her. He was interested in her, is what it was. And it wasn't that bad. Who else got cut? Kathleen Connolly got cut by a boar.
Right.
And it was very similar to how Jill got cut. Male pigs, when a female human is coming in, do a little foreplay with her, and foreplay involves pushing them around with the snout, and the more mature ones have tusks on them, or cutters. They come down and then up, and they're sharp, and they can be really dangerous. But we've not had an aggressive boar here that we had to watch, other than that one instance. I've seen where one of our boars got aggressive with one of our dogs, pretty bad. 2 dogs, actually, and cut them up pretty good. But I think the dogs probably, we're trying to get the boars back in the pen, and the boar had come out over the snowdrift, right over the fence, and then it wasn't solid enough for him to go back over. And so they just kept at him, and then he attacked him. I surmise. I wasn't there, but he cut the dogs up really good, right to the rib. Long cut, like that long. So that's what I do. Pigs do eat their young, but it's not like male pigs are just going to go around scooping up babies. Most of the time, our guy will go in, sniff them once, and that's it. And I mean, it does kind of get you a little worried when you see him step in there and walk around and sniff these brand new babies. But he sniffs them, and then he's out of there, and he's like, goes back to what he's doing, watching TV or whatever. Not interested in her after that. That's how I do it. I think that falls under the category of, well, I should be careful saying this because maybe your father has had experience with a boar eating a bunch of babies. I haven't. So I'm just speaking from my experience. But I don't want to contradict him not knowing, his experience. But my experience, I leave them together, and that creates what they call a sounder. And they can stay together, and they'll all grow at the same rate, and he'll be big enough that he can mate them, and they're big enough that they can handle him. And when they get too big or he gets too big, the whole group of them can be processed and start a new sounder. Which might sound a little brutal, but when that boar gets to be 700-800 pounds, that's like having a hippopotamus out there, and they eat a lot. So by the time he's that big, chances are pretty good that the sows are going to be about 5 years old, and that's about it. That's when you have a 500-pound sow. She's going to yield 350 pounds of high-quality sausage at $8 a pound. So do the math on that. You've gotten all these baby pigs out of her, and now she's going to give you all this sausage to sell. You're not losing anything. It's a total gain, especially if you're handling your feed properly. But you didn't ask me about that.
All right. Crunchy Mama wants to
Crunchy
know,
Mama.
how does one break an LGD from chasing chickens? No luck with a shock collar. She does fine. The chickens are in the netting, but if one gets out, she just scares the living daylights out of it. She doesn't hurt them per se.
She doesn't hurt them?
She just
She'll grow out of it.
chases them pretty hard.
She'll grow out of it.
I
And-
have to exercise a little persuasion.
Well, what did you do? We would
I
get the
grabbed
dog.
I grabbed hold of Claire.
We grab hold of the dog and raise your voice, no, and spank, right? Yeah, spank her
Make an impression.
right on the face,
Oh,
and the
spank
ear.
them. Or butt.
Yeah, well, I whenever I got spanked as a kid, spank on the head, it makes more of an impression. You don't have to hit as hard. I guess, I don't know. Okay, spank him on the butt then. I think whack them in the head.
Make
They'll
an
hear it,
impression.
and plus it'll rattle their head a little bit, and it'll hurt them. Spank them on the butt. They're pretty insulated from anything. One of the best things with those dogs, your son is getting older, and he should have a Red Ryder BB gun. So you might as well get it for him now. Just don't give it to him now, and you use it. And when you are telling the dog to do something, and they're kind of far away from you, and you can't get your hands on them, a Red Ryder BB gun comes in real handy. And then after a while, when they hear the gun cock, they know that, oh, he's going to say something. I'm telling you. Audrey, where you been? Since they moved out of town, I haven't heard from these guys. What did she ask? Audrey Lyons.
So it's related. Besides the dogs, how...
When we first started doing this and started with the chicken tractors, and so we'd have a lot of chickens out on the field, and we're moving the tractors, so they're getting out further and further away from the house. We would go out there in the morning, and there would be dead chickens, and it was bad. And I lost my cool a couple of times, and we got to the point where we actually went to Jay's. Jay's, Audrey, Jay's. We went there and asked them about night optics for a rifle, because we were gonna sit up there and we were gonna kill everything. And in my mind at the time, I thought, I'll wipe them all out. I'll just keep shooting until they're all gone. But you're never gonna do it, because they'll keep coming. There's millions and millions of skunks and possums and nighthawks and owls and so much stuff. Other neighbors' dogs. So we were to the point where we said, okay, this pasture poultry thing is just not working, because the losses were tremendous. We had a neighbor's dog came one time, killed 30 chickens, 30 of them. And then we got our Great Pyrenees dogs. We got one of them, Lily. She was the first one. And it ended. I mean, 99 and 44/100% ended. I mean, occasionally something will happen, or you'll get, I don't know what you want to call this fox, but we had this fox that was just really good, really smart. And the chicken tractors were kind of close to the wire of death, we call it, and the dogs wear a collar. And if they get close to the wire, it buzzes them. And so this fox would dash in, take a turkey, and dash out, and get to the other side of it before the dogs could get out there. And he knew, he figured it out. And I saw him one time. I actually took a shot at him. I think it was a female. I think it was. And yeah, wiped out a lot of turkeys. And this is just the year before last. We start off the turkeys in with the chickens. And if you're not going out there inventorying, you just have 400 little, peeps looking at you, and you don't really, you don't count them really. But as they got older, there was less tall heads sticking up, and so Rachel counted them, and we'd been ripped off for, I don't know, 20 turkeys, something like that.
Yeah, at least.
And it was a fox, and even with the Great Pyrenees, foxes they're smart. They're really smart. So outside of that, I don't know what to tell you, because we tried everything. We tried electric netting, and there's just so many predators out there. Unless you want to stay out there with them. I've heard people putting those lights out there that are light activated. I've heard of that, but I don't know. I think an animal like a fox will pattern that stuff, and the light comes on, and then they'll back up and they'll watch it, and nothing happens, so they'll try it. They're pretty smart. Owls, again, they're awful smart too. But with our dogs, we don't have a problem. We have no problems. I don't even think about it anymore. And when you do as much pastured poultry as we do, I can read that. That was a new person too. Mm-hmm. Mom McCann. Mom McCann. We have Great Pyrenees. And we breed them too. We don't have any right now, but we will. They're a great dog. I mean, they have their quirks, but as far as the Homestead farm dog, you just can't beat them. You just can't beat them. Of course, that's really the only guardian dog that we've had. So I guess I don't have an accurate cross section, but I really like these dogs. They're good with the kids. They just have a nice temperament to them, and they're so effective with predators. I've never seen this. See that? What is that?
I don't know.
Can you see it on your?
Nope.
All right, it's gone.
Nope.
Okay. Let's see. My first year on my place, I killed 31 red fox squirrels, 8 gray squirrels, 17 coons, and 11 possums. Yeah. Yeah, you can really work at it. I still do a lot of shooting. It's usually young animals like skunks. They kind of just, when they're young, they just wander right in. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Jonathan wanted to know, what is the most amount of piglets you've sold in a year, and how many full grown?
A year. I'd say like over 100. Yeah. You know, maybe 150, maybe right in there in a year. When I had 30 sows going, you know, I'd always have little pigs on the ground. And this, when you have that many sows going, you really don't even know how many you have in the way that I do it, because I have big paddocks, 5-6 acre paddocks, and they're heavily, I wouldn't say wooded, I'd say like bulrushes and bushes and stuff. You know, it's not all open field, so a lot of it you can't even really see. But I always fed them at a place where the moms would have to come up to get their feed, and usually the little ones would follow them. And then at a certain point, we built. Well, you didn't ask this, but we built loaders that the moms, we'd get them in there to feed, and then we would shut the door and we could grab their babies from them. And if you have questions about that, go ahead and ask the question, and maybe I'll even refer to the whiteboard.
Yeah, actually, that's a question that came on the internet this week.
Oh, really?
That I was going to give you.
Okay, might as well. I'm going to go to the whiteboard. Look at that. We got plenty of thumbs up here, 21 of them. 34 people watching. So many people are being kind of stingy with the thumbs up, huh? All right, so let's say we have a field. This is just a chunk of fence, and it could go that way a long ways and that way a long way and have a back. But I'll draw the one that I have here that I've actually built right up just on the other side of the backyard here, up against the road. So I started with 6x6 posts, and I put them at 12. Well, so this thing is maybe 10, yeah, it's 10 by 10. And then I put 2x6s on it, 10 footers. So this is viewed from above, And this right here, this is outside. Okay, the pigs are in here. They're in here. All right, those are pigs. And this is outside. This is a work area. And this right here is a little personnel door, so I can get in here. These are 6x6s on the outside here, and 6x6s here. And if you're viewing this from the side, like you're looking on the ground, let's see, I don't want to go too low. If you're at ground level and you're looking, these 6x6s come up, maybe 4.5 feet. And then there's 2x6s across here like this. And you could use 2x8s, 2x10s, whatever. I had 2x6s at the time. And then on the inside, I cut a piece of hog panel and stapled it in there. Okay, so that's stapled on the inside. And there's a piece stapled on the inside and a piece stapled on the inside here. So hog panel is welded wire that the little pigs cannot get through. All right? And then there's a hinge here and a gate. Right? And this gate will open to this position. We see that? It will open all the way up if I want to. And once I close it, I can put a chain around it and they can't open it back up. So the gate, I'm going to draw this gate for you looking straight at it. All right, let me get rid of this. Looking straight at this gate. It's a 10-foot gate, sort of like those gates that they have at Tractor Supply, you know, the blue tubular steel gates. Kind of cheap, not expensive, right? Okay, we can see that okay? Yeah, I can move this up. All right, you see that gate? And then what I did is I put a piece in here and a piece in here, so it makes a little entryway. And then every place but there, I put hog panel. Get the picture? That's on the inside. So when this is closed, the little pigs, they can get through here. So when this is completely closed, I can have this opening and the little pigs can get in here. And so what I will do is I'll have this personnel gate closed and I'll feed in here. I'll drop them in there some special stuff. And they'll come in through here. The moms can't get in. This is sometimes referred to as a creep feeder, right? Usually a creep feeder wouldn't be that big. It would just be a feeder that the moms can't get to, because the moms will get in there, they'll hog it all down. They don't care about their babies when it comes to that. So then, and then I put a hinge here and a hinge here. And this door, there's a string or a piece of 550 cord that when I pull that cord this way, that door will open up, right? So the door, we leave the door open most of the time and the little pigs come and go. They get used to coming and going out of there. That's where I give them special feed. And they, you know, we milk cows too, so I'll have stuff, you know, milk that's not good or milk that the cow stepped in or something. You know, Jill'll be making cheese and she'll have all the whey left. And I'll mix that in with grain or bread. And I want the baby pigs to get that. The mother pigs, they've got enough nutrition. And so usually I have this piece of 550 cord coming right to here, tied. And when those pigs are in there, they're in the loader, they're in here eating, I can just take this loose and drop it. It slams shut and the baby pigs are stuck. You got them. They're in a 10 by 10 and even some old guy can get in there and catch them, right? But if they're out running on a 1 acre pasture, forget it. How do you get them? You know, all these processes, all of a sudden you get to a point with like, how am I going to catch those little pigs? You know, and then as soon as you start chasing them, oh, then it's a game. You'll never catch them then. I've had, with this particular loader that I built, this is the newest one that I've built, and I really took my time on this one, and I drew from loaders that I had built before. It didn't really work that good. The baby pigs couldn't find their way in, believe it or not. I had one where I had a little trap door over here on the side, and they could not find their way in. I don't know why. But on this one, they can see through the gate. and evidently, you know, and I use it a lot, like from the beginning when they're eating on other than nursing their mothers. I put stuff in there and get them used to going in there. If I didn't draw this accurately, actually I have a 6x6 here and a 6x6 here, right? And on the outside of this, on the wood, you want to staple on. They will rub on that just to itch their stuff, and they'll loosen up these posts. These posts, you don't put them in. You just make a hole. You put the 6x6 down in 2 feet, and you pack it with a spud bar or a fudge pack or whatever you have. But don't go putting any concrete in there. You don't do that. That's not how you do fence posts. Concrete is not for doing fence posts. But if you pack these tight enough, and then you have the wire on the inside, the hog panels on the inside, and you have it stapled on with fence, and it has to be, when you're handling pigs, anything that you build, you have to build it twice as tough as you think you do. Really, for all your livestock, you have to build it tough because they rub on stuff. But that thing is a dream. That works really good. And you're going to want to catch the pigs more than once. You're going to want to catch them when it's castration time, and then when it is sorting time, like the ones that you're going to sell to your friends, and then the ones that are going to go in your feeder pen that you're going to feed out for your meat animal. And then if you have some that look nice, you know, they have nice, what they call phenotype. It's the way they look. That's it. That's all it is. It's the way they look. I guarantee you, when you get the clothes off of them, they all look the same. I guarantee it. We butcher lots of pigs, and you'll have Mangalitsas that are they're the perfect looking Mangalitsa, and then some that they don't really look right. But once you get the fur off of them, they all look the same. And the Mangalitsa crosses are notorious for maintaining the best characteristics of the Mangalitsa, and then leaving off what some people think are the less desirable characteristics of Mangalitsa, if you think they're too fat. I think skinny is overrated. Oh, the fat on a Mangalitsa is exquisite, so no fat goes to waste around here, none at all. It's all good, high quality fat. So, but then, you know, you're going to get the fat out of them what you put in. So if you put a low quality fat into them, you're going to get a low quality fat out of them. Or they'll still refine it. Even if you give them corn silage, they'll still refine that, and you'll get a decent quality. But if you start with a really good quality fats that you're growing for them, you'll get a much better quality fat out the other end. So if you grow nice field crops like turnips and and you know, it's just outstanding stuff. It's just glistening. I'd rub some on my knee.
And with that much fat, it's worth creating good fat.
It is.
So,
yeah.
like you said, good fat in makes for good fat. Corn does not make for good fat.
Right. And all corn is not evil, you know, but it's not all created equal. And a lot of the feeding a lot of the animal feeding that's done is done with corn, the majority corn. And I'm not saying this corn is evil. I'm not saying that some of it wouldn't be good for you, but when it's a majority corn, you know, how would we be if we ate nothing but, you know, Fritos our whole life? You know, would our health be good? It wouldn't, you know, and then our fat would be just Frito quality fat. We'd taste like Fritos, right? So I think what you want to do is you want to balance it out a little bit, is what I think. And we grow fields specifically for the pigs to eat. And you might be thinking, then you got to go out there and you got to pick turnips for the. No, we bring the pigs to the turnips and let them pick out the ones they want. Actually, they'll take them all, and they'll take the tops, and they'll take the tips, and they'll take the worms and the splits and everything else there. That's a hot setup. Matter of fact, this coming year, this is one of these things that I want to try. And some of our friends on here, Honey Kafina for one, has got us psyched up about is growing tree crops, right? So can you imagine if 25 years ago, the guy that owned this before me had a field where he grew honey locust trees, and they were 25 feet tall, and every year they dropped a ton, literally, no, a half a ton, up to a half a ton of these long beans that are actually a legume on the ground. I mean, if they dropped them on the ground in the church parking lot, it'd be kind of a pain. But if it drops them on a field where you're letting your pigs roam around and they're laying in the shade of these trees, and then the trees are dropping food for them to eat, and you had a 10-acre field with 100 of those trees, see, and then it rains and the trees take in the rain and they just give you more, you know. I think that we've really missed the boat on regenerative agriculture. We could have done a lot better. But there's reasons for that. You know, there's reasons why we plant every year and we don't do the. It just there's reasons, but I think we can do better. I think that would be really neat to do. So I got a whole bunch of those trees to plant this year, courtesy of Honey Kafina.
So related questions. Jonathan wanted to know, is soaked cracked corn okay?
Well, yeah, it's okay. It's not like it's going to hurt them.
Oh.
I'm just saying that, you know, if you feed them nothing but corn, you're going to get kind of corny fat. You know that smell? It's sort of like a Mountain Dew, that kind of smell. You can't smell it all the time. Usually if you just open it. I used to notice, I don't drink Mountain Dew and I haven't for 15 years, but when I did, there was a consistent smell between that and the butcher shop where I used to take my pigs, and when we built our own butcher shop and we were butchering our own pigs. Because when I lived in Montana, we fed a lot of corn because that's just what you did. I mean, you go to the feed store, you buy corn, and you know, or hog chow, and it's mostly corn. But that smell, it was consistent, you know, and it was that corn, you know, it was that heavy use of corn. I mean, the reason why corn is so prevalent in the United States is because it's not the only crop that's viable for the ag processes that we do. It is not. But they had to make a decision, okay, what are we going to plant? And then if we're going to plant this, then we're going to build this type of machinery to harvest it, this type of machinery to plant it, this type of machinery to cultivate it. And I think it was kind of short-sighted. Like in the United States, we grow a lot of corn and a lot of soy for feed crops. You kidding me? I mean, is that all we can feed our animals? What if we had massive fields of, let's say, honey locust trees, and all these pods? I don't know what the machines would look like, but there's got to be a type of machine that would go through and rake up all these pods, and then those pods could be run through a feed mill, Maybe there's some nutrients in those beans that would prevent us from getting certain illnesses. We don't know because we're feeding corn and soy and silage. We feed lots of silage. There's mountains of silage around here, mountains, and the cattle get primarily silage, right? They get used to it. And I'm not saying let's do away with that. I'm saying let's us do something different. That's all I'm saying. Because I don't want to make any enemies. If the guys want to do the way they're doing, fine. Maybe when I got here, if I'd have gotten into that, I'd be doing it too. But I didn't. I didn't get into it. Mostly because they didn't talk to me much.
Continuing on that theme, can you feed pigs silage?
Sure.
Is it safe for them?
Yeah. Well, like we're in a unique position here because we feed our pigs every day and we butcher our own pigs on the farm. So I suppose if you were taking your pigs to somebody else and he butchered them and he noticed something inside those pigs, he might tell you, or he might just the guy probably doesn't want to know, not going to bring it up. And generally the person that loads you out is not the same guy that's on the kill floor or the cutting floor. So it's a group of people at a kill plant. So when we were feeding silage, we were having fertility issues. We did it for a year. And it was a good source of food. And we had fertility issues big time. And then when we would go inside of them, when we'd cut into them, we were having problems too.
They were lumpy where they shouldn't be lumpy, and
they were having glands that were swelling up. We just saw a lot of things that never saw that before, in the 10 or so years that we did Mangalitsas before that. So we stopped doing the silage because where I live, you can buy silage and it's really cheap. The problem with silage, we believe, really don't know, is silage is corn, stalks and all, that is grown, and then they cut it off at the base and they run it through a chopper, chops it up, and they blow it into trucks and stuff. And then they take it and they pile it up, and they drive up over it. They push out all the air as much as they can get, and then they cover it. And that cut up corn, it's in pieces that are about 3/4 of an inch, will ferment. The stalks, everything. Everything. They cut the whole thing up. But I think what the problem is they use glyphosate on the corn. They spray it directly on the corn. And glyphosate is a defoliant, but it does not affect the corn. It kills everything else, but not the corn, because the corn is genetically modified so that it won't be killed by a defoliant. So I don't know about the genetic modification part of it. I don't know if that is detrimental to the health of animals. I don't know. But I would reckon that the defoliant that's sprayed on them would be detrimental to the animals that eat it. And I have one data point, and it was just when I fed it to my pigs for a year, we had problems. That's the only data point I have. The other data point was one of these ones that's kind of an invisible data point, is when you try to nail down somebody that dispenses this stuff. Is this stuff, is this glyphosate, this Roundup, is this detrimental to human life or the lives of the animals we're going to sell it to? It's pretty hard to get a straight answer out of them. I've watched lots of interviews. I watched an interview where a guy said, "Oh no, this stuff's so safe you can drink a whole glass full of it." And the moderator or the interviewer said, "Oh, well, I just happen to have a glass of it right here. So here you go." And the guy said, "Well, I'm not going to drink that." And well, you just said that it was safe. And he says, "Yeah, but I'm not stupid." Oh, then what are you? You know. So I don't know where there's smoke, there's fire. I'd love to see the data as to why in a lot of countries, European countries, it's been banned. You know, that data really isn't available because the company that makes it makes a lot of money off of it. There's a whole lot going on there. Like if you buy seed to plant, you're buying genetically modified seed that when you plant that, you can spray defoliant right on it and won't kill it. I mean, it's amazing, right? But if you save the seeds from that corn that you just planted in the fall, there's another little genetic modification in there too, to where they won't germinate. So the seeds, you know, on the corn cob, they will not germinate. So that forces the farmer to go back every year to the seed salespeople. You have to buy more. It used to be a farmer would keep back a portion of what he harvested, the best, nicest stuff, for his seed for the following year. But you can't even do that anymore because the seed, it comes from the company that makes the Roundup, and they have a patent on that seed. So if you start saving those seeds, they'll hit you with a lawsuit. And that's happened. So guys, just don't fool with them. I don't know. That's not my business. I don't get involved in that. But you did ask me if I think you should feed silage. That's my experience with it, and I'm not going back to doing it again. That's just my experience. I'm trying to think if that beef that we did this weekend ate silage. No, didn't. Next question?
Yeah, no, she didn't.
No.
Yeah. Give you this one. This is from Thornborough. What do you recommend for packing fence posts?
Well, what we did. Do you know what sucker rod is? I mean, do people know what that is? Sucker rod is they use it in the oil fields, and it's sort of a mild steel round stock, about 5/8 of an inch in diameter, and we get it in lengths, 20-foot lengths, and it's really cheap, and we use it for a lot of stuff. But a long time ago, my father-in-law made this. He took a piece of it, I don't know, about 6 feet long, 7 feet long maybe, and then he welded on a bigger chunk, a chunk that was about that big around of solid steel, and about that long. So it's heavy. The whole thing is heavy. And when you put the post down in the hole, you start moving some of the material that you took out of the hole back in, and if it's dry, then you're gonna want to get it a little bit wet. But here's how you get it wet. Even if it's dead dry, you just have a bucket there with water. You put your hand in it, and you just sprinkle water on it like that with your fingers. You don't take a hose to it. You don't want it muddy. You just want it so it will pack. Right? And sometimes, like if you dig a hole someplace where your hole fills in with water, here's a trick, and a guy told me this when I first got here. Go out to a gravel road, right? And get a bucket of gravel off the road, because that gravel is a mixture of, I forget what they put in it. But it's a pretty pretty uniform mixture that they make, road gravel. It's like A200 or something, or A2000, A2020. I don't know. I don't remember what it is, but Podbelski knows what it is. What is it, Pod? But anyway, you dump that in there, and that will pack. Even though there's water in the hole, you can pack it. And then you just go to town with this packer. We call it a fudge packer around here. I don't know where that name came from, but and we, you can get those posts so solid in there. My dad used to say this. He said when you hit it, it will actually ring. There's a vibration that comes back to you, and if the vibration is high enough, it's actually like a bell ringing, right? If it goes thud, that's not exactly ringing. All right, Jonathan's asking me what's wrong with cement. Yeah, well, you dig a hole, right? And then you put the post in, and then you fill it with cement. Outside of the cement, the ground is only as firm as it was before you disturbed it. And it may not be very firm at all. But when you put the material down in the hole and you start to pack around it, you're pushing that out, and you're changing the density of the material that's down in that hole. You're packing it, you're making it more dense. The cement is just gonna take the size of the hole, and it's gonna be up against loose dirt. It's not gonna ring, it's gonna thud when you hit it. It kind of makes sense. Oh yeah, I put cement around it, it'll make it really strong. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. There's other ways guys do fence posts too. Like if you've got a post hole digger, right? It's an auger that's about this big. Usually they have them on the back of a tractor, a 3-point. And you're sitting on the tractor and you push this thing and it goes down and make a deep hole. And then they have an extension you can put on, and they can go even deeper. I knew a guy here that used to put in sections of phone pole around and 4 feet above the ground. So he was cutting 10-foot chunks and putting them in. And they're so darn deep, that anything can rub up against it and nothing's going to happen. But he was putting in pretty good sized posts and then packing around them, and they did a really good job. I used to work with a guy that did pole barns for a living, and gave me a big lecture on that, and I've applied that to fence posts.
Okay. Last question I have came from the Anyone Can Farm tribe. Mucus. I've never had a sow that's easy enough to let you actually get close enough to check her. We try not to interfere unless it's needed. They know the week that the sow was bred, so she should be farrowing in the next week. I just checked, and she has clear mucus oozing from her vulva. Do you have any experience with timing on discharge?
Oh, yeah.
So when you see that, how long do you have?
Well, when you start, here's what we do. When you see mucus coming, she's it almost looks like spit actually coming out. That's when you want to get close to her if you can, and if you can pull milk off of her, she's within 24 hours. So, but like she may be oozing, and you get to her and you pull and nothing, that doesn't mean that she's in 24 hours. When you get milk, it's within 24 hours. The oozing thing is, I don't know what causes that. I think it's just that the birth canal, it's time, and a lot of secretions go into the birth canal to get it ready to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the changes that are happening. You get mucus secretions.
There you go. My midwifery experience kicking in. We're at 77 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good? I saw another question there. No?
No, just the.
I don't know. Maybe. Stephanie says, is it comparable to a woman losing a mucus plug? Maybe.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, exactly. Nathan Pierce says virgin ground.
Right, when you were talking about not using cement.
Oh, yeah. And you know what, too, about putting concrete in? A lot of times you put a fence in. I've done it more times here than I care to, like, admit, but you have a really good idea. Oh, this would be a good place for a paddock. You know, it's adjacent to this, and we could have a taxiway here and all this stuff. But then things change. You know, your garden gets a little bigger. Oh, you're going to put raspberries out the end of it. Things change. I've reconfigured fences so many times here. And if you have a corner post in or an H post in and you want to move it, if you take everything off of it, you know, pull all the staples out of it and all the guide wires off it and all that stuff, and a lot of that stuff will just go away. You might not use it again. You might, like staples, we reuse them. And then the post, you just put a chain around it and pick it up with a front end loader and it will come straight out. If you have concrete on the bottom of it, you're going to wind up cutting that thing off, because although it might be wobbly, there's going to be a lot of dirt on top of it and it won't want to come out. You may have to dig in order to pick it out of there. And if you don't have a loader, then you'll never get it out. So that's, and then, you know, if you did pull it out and it had a big glob of concrete on the bottom of it, now what? Now what? Can you reuse it? Now you can break it off, I guess. You can get your sledgehammer out, and now you got a whole bunch of concrete laying around that you could use for something. I don't know. Try it, see what you think. I've done it. I've used concrete. I don't use it anymore, not for stuff like that. So we about done? Mm-hmm. All right. That was a nice... Oh, someone's been saying nasty things. I see a lot of deleted.
Well, I do too. Someone that wasn't speaking English. I didn't know what they were saying, so.
Oh, this is neat. Coastal says, I have 3 gilts, Mangalitsa / Berkshire cross, all sisters. 2 look like Berkshires, and 1 looks like a Russian boar with a raised back ridged hair. Yeah, you know what? Those genetics are... They're the genetics that that they'll go after. They'll say, oh, that's a Russian boar, you know, and Russian boar, I mean... There ought to be an executive order, really, to stop people from calling a poor pig a Russian boar. I mean, it's like calling it a Chinese boar. There should be an executive order. Somebody get the White House. Can somebody get the White House on the phone for me? We need an executive order. Yeah, they kind of, you know, they kind of use the word Russian as though it's evil because it's Russian, you know? I don't know. But those genetics, I have one like that. We call her Gretchen. We named her after governor here, but she looks vicious. You know, she just has that Russian look to her, and she just popped up. You know, it's a very predominant set of, and her mother had it too, and we kind of like that look. We've had really good luck with pigs like that because it's, I don't know, you know, the Mangalitsa is a cross between the Russian boar and there's 2 or 3 others that they crossed in. I don't recall what they are right now, according to the books that we've got on Mangalitsa. All right, let's call it a night. Thanks for everybody for coming by. I got a couple projects cooking right now that I've got some good ideas about, and I guess maybe I'll share those tomorrow night because it's getting kind of late and Mom's tired. But remember, anyone can farm, and let's keep our chins up. I didn't get a lot of intel today. Debbie was kind of slow getting usual stuff to me, but maybe she'll load me up tonight. It's mostly just didn't do much, kind of just hobbled around all day. I did feed the cows, and I have 2 less cows now. So tomorrow I start cutting up beef down in the shop. Tomorrow's what, Thursday? Yep. So I can probably get it all done in about 2 or 3 days. All right. Appreciate it. Have a good night, y'all.